Hi dear children, I am Rakhi, PGT Economics. Last class we studied about low diminishing margin utility. What is low diminishing margin utility? It means as we consume more and more unit of the same commodity, the utility or satisfaction goes on decreasing. Suppose you are eating ice cream again and again. You didn't get the same level of satisfaction from the sixth ice cream as you got from the first ice cream. Means if you consume again and again the same commodity, the satisfaction goes on decreasing. That is low diminishing margin utility. I think all of you understood my last classes. If you like my classes, please like and subscribe my channel Economic Mall. Today we will study about consumer equilibrium in the case of single commodity. Consumer equilibrium in the case of single commodity. We already studied what is consumer equilibrium. A consumer is in equilibrium when he gets maximum satisfaction from the consumption of given commodity. Now we are studying the consumer equilibrium in the case of single commodity. It means the consumer is in equilibrium when he gets maximum satisfaction from the consumption of single commodity based on his level of income. So consumer equilibrium in the case of single commodity means consumer is getting maximum satisfaction from the consumption of single commodity based on his level of income. So consumer equilibrium in the case of single commodity means a consumer is getting maximum satisfaction or maximum utility from the consumption of single commodity based on his level of income. Consumer equilibrium in the case of single commodity, it is based on one formula. One method is there, that is MUX equal to PX. It means margin utility of S commodity should be equal to the price of S commodity. Here X is the commodity, assumed commodity. MU means margin utility. So MUX means margin utility of S commodity should be equal to PX. P means price. X means S commodity. So PS means price of the S commodity. Suppose you are buying a chocolate. Its margin utility is 100 rupees and price also should be 100 rupees. Means both should be equal. Margin utility of S commodity should be equal to the price of the S commodity. Okay, this is the equilibrium condition. Understood? If you buy a chocolate of 10 rupees, then price of that chocolate is 10 rupees. Then you should get marginal utility also 10. Means 10 equal to 10. That is the equilibrium in the case of single commodity. So this is the equilibrium condition. What is the equilibrium condition? Margin utility of S commodity should be equal to the price of S commodity. Now we will study about the disequilibrium conditions, two disequilibrium conditions, and how a consumer attained that equilibrium condition, how he came back to the equilibrium condition. Okay, disequilibrium condition. First one is MUX, it is more than PX. Here you can see that margin utility of S commodity, it is more than the price of S commodity. Okay, suppose you are buying a chocolate of 100 rupees, but you get margin utility of 150. It means the margin utility of S commodity is more than the price of S commodity. Then what will do? You will consume again and again that same commodity. Yes, no. So margin utility of S commodity is more and price of this commodity is less means the consumer will consume more and more unit of the S commodity. If a consumer consume more and more unit of S commodity, what will happen? Due to low diminishing margin utility, his utility or satisfaction goes on decreasing. Suppose you are eating chocolate continuously, what will happen? Your satisfaction from that chocolate goes on decreasing. Yes, no? So you reduce the consumption of the chocolate. Till how much? MUX equal to PX. So this is the disequilibrium condition, that is MUX is more than PX. Margin utility of S commodity is more than the price of S commodity. Then the consumer will buy more of S commodity because his utility, margin utility is more. But again he is consuming that commodity. What will happen? Due to low diminishing margin utility, his satisfaction goes on decreasing. Then he will reduce the consumption till MUS equal to PS. Like that he came back to the equilibrium condition. Now next disequilibrium condition is MUX, it is less than PX. Here margin utility of S commodity is less and price of the S commodity is more. Then what will happen? If the price is more but utility or satisfaction from the commodity is less, means what will happen? Consumer reduce the consumption. Yes, no. So many months you not at all eat that chocolate. If the satisfaction from that chocolate decreasing, means so many months you will not eat that chocolate. Okay. Then after certain months, one time if you eat that chocolate, what will happen? You will get some satisfaction, means your utility will increases. Okay. So margin utility of X is less than price of X, means the consumer will buy less of X. But afterwards gradually what will happen? The margin utility of X will increases till it become equal to MUX equal to PX. This is the equilibrium condition. Once again I will explain this. Margin utility of X is here less than the price of S commodity. Then what will happen? If the utility, margin utility of a commodity is less compared to the price, the consumer reduce the consumption of that S commodity. If so many months he is not eating that commodity and one time eating time, your satisfaction or your utility will increases. And till it MUX equal to PX. This is the equilibrium condition. I think you understood this. The consumer equilibrium in the case of single commodity. This equilibrium condition is MUX equal to PX. Then there is two disequilibrium condition will happen. That is MUX is more than PX. That is margin utility of S commodity is more than the price of S commodity. The consumer will consume more and more unit of the S commodity. If he consume more and more unit of the S commodity due to low diminishing margin utility, his satisfaction goes on decreasing till it become equal. That is MUX equal to PX. Another disequilibrium condition is MUX is less than PX. Here margin utility of commodity is less. So the consumer reduce the consumption of that commodity. Then gradually what will happen if not at all using, means one time using time, the margin utility of commodity gradually it increases. Then it become equal, means MUX equal to PX, means the consumer come back to the equilibrium condition. Okay. This is the consumer equilibrium in the case of single commodity. This is the equilibrium condition, that is MUX equal to PX. So I think all of you writing notes. Okay, you can write the notes up to dately. Now we will explain the consumer equilibrium in the case of single commodity with the help of schedule. Here you can see that units of X 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 like that the consumption is increasing and price is assumed to be constant, that is 10 rupees only, and margin utility as we already studied, that is when we increase the consumption of the commodity the margin utility goes on decreasing. Yes, no, it decreases, then it reaches 0 and finally it became negative. That we already studied. Here the consumer equilibrium in the case of single commodity, that is what is that equation? MUX equal to PX. Here MUX equal to PX at what time? Price is 10 and margin utility of 10, both are equal at third unit. At third unit of the commodity, at 3 unit of the commodity, margin utility is equal to price, that is 10 equal to 10. So difference between 10 minus 10 is to 0. This is the equilibrium condition, that is MUX equal to PX. Which is the equilibrium condition? The consumer is in equilibrium here at 3 unit. Here price is equal to margin utility. Price of S commodity is equal to margin utility at 10 at 3 unit of the commodity. Okay, 10 equal to 10. That is the equilibrium condition. Means margin utility of 10 equal to price of the 10. Both are equal. Then first and second unit, what is the problem? What happening? Here disequilibrium condition is happening. That is MUX is more than PX. Here you can see that 20 is more than 10. 16 is more than 10. Means here margin utility is more than the price. That is the disequilibrium condition. So here margin utility is more than price means, margin utility is more means what will happen? The consumer increase the consumption. Okay, then come back to the equilibrium, that is MUS equal to PX. Here next disequilibrium condition is MUX is less than PX. Here 4, 5, 6. This 3 unit you can see that which is more, price is more, 10. What about the margin utility? 4 only. Next 10, then no utility, no margin utility, 0. Next 10, margin utility is minus 6 at the 6th unit of commodity consumption. Okay, here 4, 5, 6 you can see that margin utility of S commodity is less than price of S commodity. That's why the consumer will decrease the consumption because the margin utility is less compared to the price. So he will decrease the consumption. So what is the equilibrium condition? MUX equal to PX. That is happening at the third unit. Okay. So you can write the explanation like this. Consumer is in equilibrium at 3 unit of commodity. Consumer is in equilibrium at third unit of commodity, in which margin utility is equal to, margin utility of S commodity is equal to price of S commodity. That is margin utility of S commodity is 10 and price of the S commodity also equal to 10. So the consumer is in equilibrium at a third unit. And before that the consumer is in disequilibrium because margin utility is more than the price of S commodity, first and second unit. Here margin utility 20, 16, it is more than the price of 10 rupees. Yes, no? Next disequilibrium condition is margin utility of X is less than the price of S commodity. Here you can see that margin utility is 4, 0, minus 6. What about the price? 10. 10 is more than the margin utility. So the consumer will decrease the consumption. And equilibrium condition is margin utility of S commodity is equal to price of the S commodity. That is MUS equal to PX at the third unit of the commodity. Next we will study about the diagrammatic explanation, that is consumer equilibrium in the case of single commodity. Diagrammatic explanation we will study. Okay children, here you can see that units of commodity that is measured on the x-axis and margin utility and price of the commodity is measured on the y-axis. And Px, that is the price of the X commodity, you can see that it's parallel to x-axis. It is always constant. So it is parallel to x-axis. It always how much unit? 10 rupees only. Yes, no. The margin utility of S commodity, that curve slopes down, means it is always falling, so it is sloped down. MUX is the margin utility curve of the S commodity. It slopes down. And here the consumer is in equilibrium when MUX is equal to PX at point E. So here the consumer is in equilibrium at point E. At point E, you can see that price of the S commodity is 10 rupees and margin utility of the S commodity also 10 rupees at the third unit, at 3 unit. So at point E, the consumer is in equilibrium. At point E, the consumer is in equilibrium at 3 unit of the commodity. Here you can see that price of the S commodity, that is 10 and margin utility also 10. Both are equal. That is margin utility is equal to price of S commodity. Margin utility of S commodity is equal to price of the S commodity at 10. So, here the consumer is in equilibrium at point E, that is price of S commodity, it is equal to margin utility of the S commodity at 3 unit and both are equal to 10. This is the consumer equilibrium condition in the case of single commodity. Once again I will explain. Units of commodity is measured on the x-axis and margin utility and price of the commodity is measured on the y-axis, and E is the equilibrium condition. In that E level, MUX is equal to PX. PX is constant, so it is always parallel to the x-axis, and the MUX slopes downwards because when we increase the consumption of S commodity, the margin utility continuously falls. So, the consumer is in equilibrium at point E, in which margin utility of S commodity is equal to PX at 3 unit and both are equal to 10. Means price also 10 and margin utility also 10. So, both are equal. This is the consumer equilibrium condition in the case of single commodity. What is that formula? MUX equal to PX. I think all of you understood today classes. Today we studied about consumer equilibrium in the case of single commodity. You can write the notes also. Once again I am saying, if you like my classes, please like and subscribe my channel Economic Mall. Thank you.